All right. Today we're going to look at a case study of a nonprofit, and that is the Oklahoma Humanities. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate there. The reason we're going to Oklahoma Humanities, formerly Oklahoma Humanities Council, is because they do a lot of things that nonprofits do, but they do a variety of nonprofit activities. So I'm going to go to their homepage here. This is actually their grants page. I'll go back to their homepage. And I want to basically, in this presentation, show you what the Oklahoma Humanities is as an organization and point out similarities and strategies between it and your nonprofit. So notice that even the design on the opening page is a nonprofit's design. The colors are simple. The pictures are simple. There's nothing particularly overwhelming about it. The point of these is usually to slightly inspire and to present information. So at the beginning, we have an explanation of who the Oklahoma Humanities is. It says, we're providing funding and resources that support lifelong learning and vibrant cultural life for all Oklahomans. And it goes on to mention that they stimulate discussion, encourage new perspectives, and actively engage people in the humanities disciplines, such as history, literature, philosophy, and ethics. So if you didn't know exactly what humanities entailed, that tells you immediately. You don't even have to go to their About page to get their mission statement. It's right there. Also important is that Oklahoma Humanities is a private 501c3 nonprofit organization. That's important because they get government funding, and the requirements of being a 501c3 entail a certain amount of transparency with their funding. So you can see from the beginning page here, the landing page, that there are a variety of important elements to the Oklahoma Humanities. They have a magazine, which is really good. Several professors from Oklahoma Christian have published in it recently. And the most recent issue is on the Vietnam War. Another one is on curiosity, and they're doing one on social justice before too long. They also have a podcast called Brainbox. So they're obviously trying to be current. It's really good. They have an e-newsletter. And then you can see more detailed information, maybe less pertinent to the average viewer as you go further down, related to their board nominations, and then, of course, all the details down here. So let's talk about a few elements of the Oklahoma Humanities website and how you can get information out of a similar one of your own. So the Who We Are, or the About page. So as you know, most organizations have these. Sometimes you can only find them by going way down to the bottom and finding the small print. But this is their key page on nonprofit websites because they house a lot of their central financial information here. Of course, they tell you who they are, about their work, as you'd expect. On the left here, though, you do get quite a detailed set of elements. You get the staff directory, board of trustees, and the history. So trying to be transparent here. What I want to show you is their annual report. When I click on that, it'll come up with the fiscal year report, and we can download that report. And basically it tells all the donors, but it has here the budget, essentially where they got all the revenue, and you can see their total expenses and total revenue. And so the revenue is a little bit higher than expenses. That's good, right? And so this is a way of providing transparency to the donors. So if I want to donate to the Oklahoma Humanities, then I can say, okay, I'm going to donate. Are they using their money well? Well, it looks like they are. You can see how it's divided up. Okay, and you can see the archives of previous fiscal years. Looks like they're a couple years behind on putting the most recent ones out. Okay, they're programs. And so some nonprofits will have programs, things that they actually enact. Others are just grant providers. So the programs here are all related to various experiences, learning opportunities for the humanities. So they've got one called the Museum on Main Street, and notice that there are grants associated with that. So if you wanted to put on a Museum on Main Street experience, you could go to the Oklahoma Humanities, apply for a grant, and then they would fund your program. They have another program called Let's Talk About It Oklahoma, and I'll show you this one because it's one that I've participated in as a scholar. And so here they have authors and scholars from around the state present basically a intellectual book club for adults. So they have different themes such as the Wild West or race in the 1950s, and they'll have a scholar study these topics, study a series of books, and then present on them, and it's free to the public. And that goes immediately back to the Oklahoma Humanities mission statement, which is about providing resources and education to the public on humanities-related topics. And you can see, just by skimming this page, what are the details of that program, and here are some of the themes and when they're doing them. And then you can apply to it here as well. I didn't want to skip over this section, which is the thank you to our sponsors, and this may even give you some ideas, looking at other nonprofits that fund the Oklahoma Humanities, even though they fund programs themselves. So you see the Pulitzer, Kirkpatrick Family Fund, you've probably seen the Kirkpatrick Bank signs around Oklahoma City. Inasmuch Foundation is one of the top donors in the state, and you can see some of these others. The Chickasaw Nation has become an important player in the state as far as humanities and nonprofit programs. Another thing I want to show you is the grants. So grants are central to running most nonprofits. Some only apply for grants. So I worked for one called Red River Community Corps, and they would apply for about $1 million federal grant, and then they would use that grant to do AmeriCorps programs in the state. Others give grants, and so Oklahoma Humanities both gets grants because it applies for a national grant. The National Endowment for the Humanities funds our state chapter of Oklahoma Humanities, but they also offer grants. So if someone at Oklahoma Christian wanted to put on a humanities program that was for the public, they could click this link and follow the instructions and potentially be awarded a grant. You can see there are major grants at up to $8,500, challenge grants at $15,000, and then there are smaller grants, I think, which are at $500 level. So you can get a sense of what this organization is just by looking at the website, but you have to understand what's going on the website. When you see those sponsor names, you have to be figuring out, well, who are those sponsors? Go to their websites. Figure out this coalition of groups that are working together, because as you write your memo and recommendation report, it's going to become central for you to understand your nonprofit very well. And the more limited understanding you have, the worse your initial idea is going to be. So take some time here. Multitask while you're doing this, by all means. Just get a sense of who they are, see how they display themselves, check out their Twitter feed and their Facebook feed, and I really think you'll find that this is a helpful exercise for you to do.